Okay, so our next lesson is about locating a decimal or a fraction or a whole number on a number line. The first thing that you need to do is you need to look at your number line. And I always like to start counting. So if this is a 0, if I count by ones, will it give me 6? So if I start here, if this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, does that work? Yeah, it does. So I'm counting by ones here. So I'm going to go ahead and label this. If this is 0, this is a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, and a 6. And I know that works because when I'm finished, everything is counting up by 1, and it stops me at my ending number, which is a 6. So the location of my 4, of my dot, is at 4. So my next one is 0 to get to a 12. So I count by ones. If I go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that doesn't work because I'm ending on 6 and I need to end on 12. So maybe I'll count by twos. 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Well, yeah, that works. So I'm going to go ahead and label each little tick mark by twos. 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. And that works. So the location of my dot is at a 2. So on the next one, it's a little trickier because I'm starting with 0 and I'm ending with a 1. Well, if I count each tick mark by ones, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's way bigger than what I need. So when I count by ones and I end with a number that's bigger than my ending number, I know I'm going to have a fraction. So when I have a fraction, I cover this 0 up, and I say this is 1, 2, 3, 4. This number line is cut into 4 equal pieces. This is a piece right here. This is my second piece, third piece, fourth piece. So my number line is cut into fourths. This is 1 fourth, 2 fourths, 3 fourths, 4 fourths. And 4 fourths is the same as 1 whole. So each section represents the fourth of something. So this mark is located at 2 fourths. Now, if I want to know what that is as a decimal, I pull up my calculator, I bring it up, and I'm going to type 2 divided by 4 in, because that's what 2 fourths means. 2 fourths means 2 divided by 4. So I hit equal. So this is located at 2 fourths, or 0.5. That's my answer. So let's go to our next number line. 0 to 1. So again, I know I can't count by ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to have to use fractions. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections. So this is 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, 5/5. 5/5 equals 1 whole. So that works out perfectly. So my dot is located at 2/5. So as a decimal, what I'm going to do is I'm going to type 2 divided by 5 into my calculator and hit equal. So 2/5 is really located at 0.4. That's its decimal equivalent. Remember, a fraction just means 2 divided by 5. That's all that means. Okay, let's try our next one. We're starting at 7, and this is supposed to have an 8 on it. So we'll go ahead and put that there. So again, I know to get from 7 to 8, it's going to take me a lot more than 1, 2, 3, 4, or a lot less than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I start here and call this 7, this is where 8 would be if I would count by ones. So what I know I'm going to have to do is to count as fractions. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces that make up that number line. So this is 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, and 5/5. I'm back to 1 whole. And that's really what this is. This is 1 unit. It's 1 unit between 7 and 8. 8 minus 7 is 1. So this number line represents 1 whole unit. That's why this 8 can also be represented as 5/5. Now here's where this one gets tricky. 4/5 is the location of my dot. So if I go ahead and put 4 divided by 5 in my calculator, so if I just do that right here, 4 divided by 5, I don't think you can see that, but 4 divided by 5 is 0.8. So this is 0.8. But that's not actually where my point is located. Because it started with a 7, this dot is located at 7 and 4/5, or 7.8. That one's a little tricky. Okay, so let's look at our next number line. I know from 0 to 1, if I count by ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I've already passed the one I'm looking for. So I'm going to have to use a fraction. This is divided into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sections. So each mark represents 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6/10, 7/10, 8/10, 9/10, and 10/10, which is the same as a whole. And your ending tick mark, your ending number, should always be the same number over itself. So if you look at all these, they're all wholes. 10/10, 5/5, 5/5, 4/4. Whenever you're dealing with fractions on a number line, that's what those should always end at. So this is located at 4/10, and if you put that in your calculator, 4 divided by 10, you should get 0.4. And we don't have another number here, so it's 0 and 4/10, or 0 and 0.4. Okay, let's flip it over and try some on the back. Okay, so on the back, what they give me is they give me a bunch of points, and I have to figure out where each one is worth. So if you notice from here, 7 to 8, that's 1 unit. So I have to count 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is broken up between the 7 and the 8. You can see that there's 4 sections. So each one of these represents 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and this is 4/4. So that means letter C is located at 7. That's what this number is right here. I know it's hard to see. But 7 and 1/4. And if you put that in as a decimal, it is 7.25. 1 divided by 4 is 0.25. So now let's go from 8 to 9. Again, there's 4 sections. So this is 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4. You don't start with your first number. You always kind of ignore that and go to your other ones. So B is located at 8, because that was what I was starting with. And since my dot is right here, it's 8 and 2/4, or as a decimal, 8.5. Because if you put 2 divided by 4 into your calculator, you get 0.5. So now let's go from 9 to 10. We stop with the 9, and again, it's 4 sections between the 9 and the 10. So this is my first section within that unit. So that's 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4. So D is located at 9, because that's the number I'm starting with, and 1/4. And if you put that into your calculator, 1 divided by 4 is 9.25. I'm starting with the 9, it's 9 units, and then it's 1/4 of the next one. Okay, so now we have letter A, so we start between the 10 and the 11. Ignoring the 10, you can tell that you have 4 sections between the 10 and the 11. So this is my first one, it's 1 of the 4, 2 of the 4, 3 of the 4, and then the 4th one out of the 4. So A is located at 10, because that's the unit I'm starting with, and then 3/4. So 10 and 3/4. Or if you do 3 divided by 4 in the calculator, 10.75. Okay, let's do the next one. Between the 3 and the 4, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections. So each section starts with a fifth. 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, and of course ending again with 5/5. And that should make sense. This is the first one out of the 5. This is the second one out of the 5. So here, if we do it again, starting with 4 to 5, there are 5 sections. So this is 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, and again 5/5. So letter A is located right here. It starts with the 4, so we know it's going to be 4, and then 3/5 of the next one. Well, if you do 3 divided by 5 in your calculator, you should get 4.6. B is located right here. It's between the 3 and the 4. So it starts with the 3, and it goes to the 4/5. So this is 3 and 4/5, or 3.8, because 4 divided by 5 is 0.8. C is located right here, between the 3 and the 4. Those are my whole numbers. So C starts with the 3, and you follow it over to the 2/5. So it's at 3 and 2/5. 2 divided by 5 in your calculator is 3.4. And then letter D is right here. It's between the 4 and the 5. So you start with the 4. You slide it over and you see 1/5. 1 divided by 5 in a calculator is 4.2. So go ahead and hit pause and fill out this next section and answer this one, okay? So go ahead and hit pause and see if you can do that one on your own. Okay, here's what your answer should be. A is located at 4 2/4, or 4.5. B is located at 1 3/4, or 1.75. C is located at 3 1/4, or 3.25. D is located at 2 1/4, or 2.25. And so the way I did that was I looked between the 1 and the 2, and I said that there were 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. So each section represents 1/4, 2/4, 3/4 until I get to 2. And that's going to be the same for your whole number line. Your number line has to all be the same units. So they're all going to be 4 sections between each one. If you kind of cover it up, you can see that there's 4 sections between each one. Okay, so if you did that, great job. Let's go ahead and try the next 2 on your own. Go ahead and hit pause again and come back when you have them finished, hit play, and we'll see how you did. Okay, the next 2. On this one, between the 4 and the 5, they're broken up into 2 sections. So this is 1/2, 2/2. 1/2, 2/2. So it's broken up into halves. So A is located at 6 1/2, or 6.5. B is located at 8 1/2, or 8.5. C is located at 7 1/2, because it's 7 units plus half of another one, or 7.5. D is located at 4.5, starting with the 4th unit and half of another one. So if you did that one, great job. All right, the next one, they're broken up into 7 units. 5 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm counting by 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5. A is located at 6 4/5, or 6.8, because 4 divided by 5 is 0.8. B is located at 7 1/5, which is 7.2. C is located at 6 2/5, or 6.4, because 2 divided by 5 is 0.4. D is located at 6 3/5, which is 6.6. So if you're able to get all those, you'll have no problem in class. Now what you can do is go ahead and advance to the next slide.